Who is with Vinny Fiorenza? There's a lot he doesn't know. There's a lot he wants to know. This is a podcast where he tries to learn from people who know things he doesn't. He'll be focusing on people from the worlds of business, entertainment, and the arts. His guests are people he finds fascinating and that he believes will bring value to others. Join him on the journey on finding out who is.
I would work on Glee for 2 days, and then the next day I'd be on a different Ryan Murphy show. So they call them show ponies. So I was on, the first unit, lighting Bradley Cooper,
cool.
Right there. Get It Made is the first of its kind all-in-one marketplace for aspiring screenwriters. We did a beta. We got a bunch of people. 50 of those people are still here 3.5 years later.
We are here with Matt Boda. We're going to get into some action with Matt. Let's get rocking. Tell the audience, where you from, Matt, originally?
Originally, I'm from a little town called Daytona Beach, Florida.
A little town. Nice,
little town.
A lot of action over there. Did you grow up doing Daytona activities?
Well, I was actually a little north of that, so I didn't hang out in the Daytona scene too much. I did go to, the racetrack and stuff like that, because that's one of the only things to do. Yeah, there was, spring break was there. It fell off when I was like 16. It actually petered off for all sorts of reasons. But yeah, I'm a Florida boy.
Nice. I didn't even know that. Nice. Well, you a fan of any sports teams from there?
I wasn't the biggest sports guy, although my dad was a Boilermaker at Purdue. He played, starting defensive end.
That's not Florida.
So I came from a football family.
Gotcha. Cool.
My dad's dad was the voice of the Jets, was the announcer for like 7 years. And then, but I just sort of went the artist way. I have a twin brother, so he went the football way. But I did get into the Indianapolis Colts for quite some time.
Wow. So that's actually one of my questions. Well, does any of your family have any influence on your artistry?
Well, my grandfather was a performer. He was in a couple movies actually called New York Yankee Doodle in 1968 or something. It was a full-length feature film, and he had a role in it. And I remember my grandma telling me that he ate it up.
That's great.
But I think that's probably the only line, except for my dad was a really good writer. He was a lawyer. And he always told me that he wanted to do fiction. He was a really good prose, but also a legal documents. So you still had to write stories in
about the law issues.
Well, but when you're doing, a case, you have to convince the jury of a story to try and get your defendant off or whatever. So that's all storytelling.
Very cinematic.
Yeah, and I mean, they have so many movies with court cases and stuff. So my dad was a big defense attorney, but so that writing, the ability to communicate with words and stuff, I think I got that from him, and then just influences growing up, TV, movies, just moved me in that direction. Nice.
What are some of those films that come to mind, but that influence you to this day?
Oh man, I'm a little, I guess you could say cliche when it comes to my favorites, but when I was 16 and I saw Fight Club, it just sort of turned everything around for me. Sort of upside down too. I got real nihilistic for a while, but the sentiments behind that film have stuck with me to this day.
What parts?
I mean, I know exactly, right? Well, especially him creating this alternate ego that he sort of has to use to explain himself to himself so he can keep going, so he can keep living, and trying to reconcile all that. And then obviously the big plan to help, essentially in that movie, the idea is to blow up all the credit card companies so everybody's debt is erased to zero. So that's sort of an altruistic goal in a way, but they blow up buildings and cause carnage. And good, I just love that movie. But
in another life.
In another life, right? In another life. So, but that's one of my favorites. Geez, I'm a super huge sci-fi guy. I watch everything. It's so funny when people say what's your favorite? It's so hard. But if they ask, what are you watching right now? I could go deep into it. Yeah.
In regards to film and TV and all that stuff, did you end up going to school for any of that stuff?
I went to school for 1 semester.
Yeah.
And I went to the Art Institute of Miami.
Okay.
And I don't know how I knew, but when I was a kid and I signed that student loan, it was a private education loan. It was so much money for 1 semester that I just did the math. And I was like, if I did a degree here, I'd owe like $200,000. So I did 1 semester and I told the guys, I was like, I can't do that, So they hired me actually. So I got to work in like the cage and like, checking out the film gear, checking it back in, helping with audio, video stuff in the classes. And they actually paid me. So it was one of my first jobs. And I did that for a little while. And then I met people in Miami to go on set. And it's a super small community down there, but I learned a lot. And then, one-way ticket to Los Angeles and started from the bottom there.
Were you always screenwriting? Like when you first got to LA over here, like what were some of the first things you were doing?
Yeah.
Did it involve? Yeah.
I mean, even in Florida, I was writing. I didn't.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So I was in a rock band actually first until I was 25. So it was like a Fall Out Boy kind of thing.
No way. Right? What'd you do?
I was the lead singer. It was a lot of fun.
I need to hear some records.
Yeah. Well, it ended in 2007. I do have records, obviously, but. It was called New Grenades, and it was a lot of fun, and it was out of Miami. But when that ended, during that time when I was in the band, I was a writer, and I actually made a couple little short films that were just the worst movies ever made in the history of someone trying to make movies. But it still got my, interest going. And then when the band failed, that's when I dove into film full time because I'm just no good at anything else. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad you're doing something that you're good at.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm glad that I'm also sitting here with the rock star.
I want to be rock star.
Now, wait. So you got to LA in 2007. What was it like here then? Like
I got here in 2008. Yeah, that was right after the first writer's strike that lasted 100 days. Wow. So I was non-union. I didn't know anything, and to be completely honest, I had $500 to my name.
I've been there.
So I could go back to Florida and live with my mom and all that stuff, but I was like 25 years old.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I got $500. I can buy a plane ticket. And then, so I lived at like this communal living where you rent per week, like a bunk bed in a room. There was like 8 guys in this little house in North Hollywood. Yeah. And I bought a bike from Craigslist and I rode around to anybody that looked like they did film in Burbank. And I walked in a million places. They're all like, whatever. But one place gave me a shot. It was a lighting rental house, Michael McDonald. And through him, he taught me lighting. And then I was introduced to gaffers, which are like the biggest lighting position in a movie. Yeah. Which they have a union. It's called Local 728 under IATSE. Which is all sister and brother guilds of WGA and SAG. Yes. So it's for laborers.
What's IATSE stand for?
It's International Alliance of Television and Movie Employees, I think.
Yeah.
So I got into that and I started making $500, $700 a day. And I was working, and this was 2 years of grinding, and then I started working on big movies. It's such a weird job. I would work on Glee for 2 days, and then the next day I'd be on a different Ryan Murphy show, and then I'd go do 2 days on some other movie. So that's how I got into the union and then learned from real filmmakers.
Who are some of the clients like you worked with throughout that experience, like on the IATSE? Yeah, as a gaffer.
Well, so some of the bigger movies, like I did Ted 2. And I was
cool.
Yeah, I was under Corey Gariak, who is Wally Pfister's chief lighting technician. Wally Pfister is Christopher Nolan's guy. Was all the way up until I believe. Well, he started directing. He did a movie called Transcendence with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
It didn't do too well, but so that's one of the big guys I learned under. Jeff Morrell. Oh my God, amazing guy, an amazing lighting guy. I did. Captain America Civil War with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so big movies and big TV shows. All of Californication under Frank Jacobellis.
Oh, wow.
Mike Weaver. Yeah.
Oh, so you've been on sets with everyone. That's great.
That's cool. I got so lucky with that.
It's great. I have a close friend in New York who does the same thing.
Is he 52?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he
Local
is.
52,
Yeah,
that's the union out there.
Yeah, he was just on Godfather of Harlem, a couple other major spots, but it's a mess right now. But whatever, it's what it is for now. But how is having a lighting background helped you in your own projects?
Well, lighting and camera go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So knowing the camera and all the equipment and the settings and what a lens does and the different focal lengths and things like that, knowing that information and then knowing how light reacts in front of that lens, in front of that sensor, knowing those two things essentially makes you a cinematographer. Even having a basic understanding means you can do that job, at least understand it. So from a directorial standpoint, I can speak everyone's language. Yeah. So I can say, oh, Johnny, do me a favor. Can you, stem up one riser and pan left and actually put a lamp left, right sider? And you know what? That 75 mil it's too close. Why don't we back off and go to a 50 just a bit?
It's pretty awesome. Like any set, you could understand everything across the board. Yeah. Did you ever work as a board op, or like you were looking to? Because that's actually thinking back, that's what that guy does that I mentioned.
Yep, as a board op. That's one of the higher positions.
Gotcha.
It's like the tech position. I was a set lighting tech.
Cool.
So they call them show ponies. So I was on the first unit, lighting Bradley Cooper, like
cool.
right there. But the board op is actually in a different place, which he's connecting to every light on the set and controlling it from a little control panel. Jeez. So he's more of a tech, tech guy.
It's interesting. I know nothing about that. I'm just learning how to turn on a switch. I'm a natural guy. Tell us about the company you had or work with, the Absurd Hero Productions.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the history of that.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought up Absurd Hero because that was what started the whole thing of what we do now with Get It Made.
Cool.
But Absurd Hero was my attempt at making a bad robot, a
cool.
J.J.
Cool.
Abrams production company. And instead of calling it mattboda.com and making me just a director, I wanted an umbrella of a production company. And the term Absurd Hero is a nihilist term. From
circling back
to the Fight Club days, but a really famous philosopher, Albert Camus. He likens modern man to Sisyphus, who everybody knows is the guy pushing the rock up the hill and then it falls back down, so he's got to do it over and over and over again. But he does it in spite of its meaninglessness because he creates meaning in the process of doing it, whether it's challenging himself or whatever. And essentially humans, life is inherently meaningless, but we try to make something good in spite of that.
Yeah.
So it's such a hard task to make movies. So the idea of being an absurd hero, to try, even though the odds are against me, I just thought that was like the perfect name.
That is a great name, especially with that background.
Yeah, and I'm so pessimist. I'm like, well, it's going to fail, but I might as well push the boulder up the hill anyway.
Yeah, keep it going. Yeah, and here we are.
Yeah, exactly. So through Absurd Hero, I made all sorts of films and music videos. I got to work with literally my favorite rock band multiple times.
Which band? Can't just mention. Huh?
It's this band, Rain City Drive, right here.
Nice. There we go.
Google Rain City Drive. They're absolutely amazing.
Cool.
The lead singer was like the runner-up on The Voice of the seventh season, and then he went into more of a rock genre, but he's got such a great voice. And then all the other guys, Colin, Felipe, my guys.
Nice. Yeah, shouting them out. Back on the technical side with the lighting and stuff, I just said there's a curiosity thing. When you think of these big films, do you have any films that stand out to you? Like, wow, that one has really good lighting. Like as an audience member.
Yeah, definitely. Like The Green Knight. I didn't like the film that much. It's an A24 film, Dev Patel. Super crazy, weird movie, but the cinematography is just like, it's unheard of. I don't know how they can get those images. I know how to put up a camera. I know how to, and I do know they have lots and lots of money and they can control the environment. It's probably augmented by some visual effects, but Dune, another, crazy looking movie. Fight Club, David Fincher, the way he lights, and it's David Fincher. I mean, he's got cinematographers like Cronenworth and stuff like that, but David Fincher moves the lights on set. He knows everything. But anyways, yeah, so those are some
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just a curiosity thing. I was thinking it through. Like you gotta have like maybe some visuals that stood out like wow.
Yeah.
But all these years culminated, you came up with this fun idea for your company called Get It Made. Tell us what is Get It Made and how did you come up with the idea for it?
Yeah, definitely. So Get It Made is the first of its kind all-in-one marketplace for aspiring screenwriters. So essentially we've created software that really incrementalizes and crushes the value out of every single dollar that an individual pays. So instead of someone spreading out their cost amongst a bunch of different organizations and platforms akin to playing the lottery, they'll take that same spend and they'll make a strategy out of it. And through our software, they're able to connect with industry professionals on a certain day and time because we've got calendars. They can, you can think of it like a gym, right? So they pay their base dues to get access to this giant space that has all of these machines.
Subscription model to
exactly.
Cool.
So what we found through our research is that an average screenwriter spends a certain amount of money per year on screenwriting contests, on one-off transactions, whether that's coverage or a screenwriting contest. And we say take that same amount of money and make a strategy with it. And we've created that strategy through using tech and through the fact that we're right in the middle of Hollywood with the highest connections possible. Our co-founder is Giovanni Lampassi, the filmmaker behind, over 100 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the reboot of Veronica Mars. He just got done with Home Economics. He's getting ready to shoot the next season of Unstable, big director, DGA, and cinematographer. So Get It Made is a place for storytellers to go and get a step-by-step actionable plan for the same price that they're already spending.
So this is mostly pre-production, like building the package for. Yeah, all right, yeah. Dive into it. Let's hear it. Sell it. Let's sell now.
We're full service. We've made 12 proof of concept films.
Oh wow!
So you can go right on to getitmade.la and see all the movies we've made. Cool. We're shooting a feature film December 1st, up about 2 hours north in Trona, California. We have another one slated for 2024.
So this is as Get It Made Productions. So it's a production company, and it's also a software that helps strategize for developing filmmakers, or also it doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. So the software is for the development because there's so much work to do to get the words on the page.
We both
right.
know.
Yes. To get the arrangement of the words on the page correct so it conveys an emotional experience is an intense amount of granular work. So we've created this system to where people can get better by themselves, and then when they reach a certain point, then it unlocks, other things to create new assets to build this package. Yeah. And then some people choose to, make a proof of concept. Some people win funding from us to make a proof of concept.
That's cool.
And then we take all that stuff out there and look for co-productions. We look for managers. We look for agents from all of our writers that are performing well. But it all started with Absurd Hero. Making movies. And I looked into the screenwriting space because I'm a screenwriter. I've written a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
One of them did really well. It was featured on the Blacklist, and I had nowhere to take it. This is a while ago. So I was like, what's missing? And production and packaging were missing. So I just created my own version of it and then reached out to writers because I have a production company. So I posted a post that said, hey, we're accepting.
Where's your post?
I think it was like Stage 32 or something. Okay. It was one of the other organizations that essentially are just a platform for people to get coverage or to submit to a contest. If you want to have one-on-ones, you have to pay a premium, really expensive price usually, hundreds of dollars. So we figured out a way to incrementalize the time, proportionate to the dollar in a way that is so much more efficient, and the progress is such more of a measurable thing.
Yeah, this is, I just learned about you guys pretty recently, and I could tell that, Matt's a good guy, his team's great, and I thought it was more than worth it to have you on here to talk about it a little bit. When did you start this idea?
So it was around 2019 that we launched like a contest. And then through those submissions, we reached out to those people and said, hey, January 1st, 2020, we're launching this new thing. It's not available anywhere. Go try and take a look and find this.
You did like a beta type?
We
of
did a
thing?
beta. We got a bunch of people. 50 of those people are still here 3.5 years later. So we
Wow.
launched January 1st, 2020. And a lot of those people have made packages that are now in these query phases where we reach out to other filmmakers that are in the game.
Yeah.
SAG, distribution deals. We don't go below an industry standard, you know. So,
Yeah.
and these things take time to put these. Oh, you get the director, now you got to go get the actor. They've got to be able to move the needle on the distributor side of the whole, balance. All that stuff, we work that out, and it's a bulk game, and that's the most important thing here. Is that when a bunch of people get together and they're all part of the same cohort, if one person goes, it raises the exposure to all those other projects. If we make one good movie, whoever we made that money for is going to look at us and go, what else do you have? And we're
Yep.
going to go, what are you looking for?
Yeah, you know, I hear that. But I don't know, a few times a week.
Yeah.
Well, what else you got? But yeah, that's so true, especially out here in this climate and this environment. With since building this company, what would you say the philosophy of your company is
Yeah.
that it made?
Our philosophy is strategy.
Yeah.
So here's what screenwriters are asking from the universe. They're asking that their story rise above all others, that they get millions of dollars for creating it, that it goes on the big screen, and Brad Pitt is the star of the movie. And then the movie makes $500 billion. And then the movie makes money for 100 years and someone on
for
Mars watches it
Yep.
to 100 years from now. That's what they're asking for. What they don't realize is that is such a small possibility, right? It's such a huge ask that the people that get it, they might as well be athletes.
Yeah.
And when someone's an athlete, you know how they get to be that good? They train their ass off. So if you want to be a great screenwriter, you have to put your own resources, because nobody's going to care, especially in the beginning. A great gymnast has to pay for the coach and the class,
Yep.
the gym that they practice in.
How do you get to the Olympics?
How do you get there? Nobody's going to come and pay for you to learn or to get it to be as great as it can be. You got to start with your own resources, do some sweat equity, and invest in yourself, and then dive into the granular work. It's not done until 8 out of 10 sources that are credible say it's good.
Nice, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. How does it feel to work with these filmmakers that you've partnered with, I guess you could say, and like watch their development?
The ones that have the right attitude
Yeah.
and the ones that understand what's actually going to get them there, some of them have become some of my greatest friends.
Nice. That's great.
Making a movie together. Like,
Uh.
Some of the people, we have this thing called fast track, where if somebody just has the money and they don't want to compete and they don't want to do all this stuff, we just give them one-on-one attention. And then, we take what they have and we make a proof of concept based on those parameters. And through that process, you really grind, because we put in sweat equity. We kick our incentive to the end. We don't ask for money up front. We put all that money on the screen to make a great package. And through that process, you really grind, and they see how much I care.
Yeah.
And we become friends through that.
Nice, man. Yeah. It's inspiring. Like I had 1.5 meetings with you already. I know the type of guy you are. It's definitely easy to believe in not only the company but you as a person as well.
Thank you.
So with all these relationships that you've made with the independent filmmakers, what do you think the current status in the independent world is now? Like, what's the climate there?
Oh man, should I do the pitch that I want everybody to believe in, or no?
Give us the raw.
Give us the raw. Yeah, it's really, really hard. And honestly, when a lone screenwriter comes to a production company or a manager and says, "Hey, I've got this screenplay," it's one of the biggest red flags, because essentially what that person's asking is, "Hey, I've got these words on a page. Can you go do the other 95% of what it's going to take?"
and only take 5 to 10%.
And then and get nothing. And then also listen to that writer
Yeah.
as if they were the director.
Yep.
Or try and guide this boat. And I've seen it too much, and I believe that those people will just have a rude awakening, or they'll grow old and their movies will sit on their hard drive and they'll have a couple laurels from John Doe screenwriting contest saying it was good. And if that's okay for them, great. But the status is you have to go 20 extra miles, not one extra mile. So if you really want to do this, you've got to put this desire as a priority that fits into every extra spot in your life, even if it's 1 hour on a Sunday or something.
Yeah.
You've got to dedicate a consistent amount of time, and you got to have a strategy, because spray and pray doesn't work.
And you do all this with a family and a newborn, and the guys all work together as a team. So the question I had was, what are some of the challenges like with that, being both in the entertainment space, you have your family, and then you're a business owner as well, because you have your creativity and the professional side. What's the scope of like doing all of that together?
Yeah, I mean, it takes an incredible amount of energy, and I just happen to have that, so it's nothing that I've really done. Like, I'm not the greatest eater. Like, I don't work out all the time. I'm still sometimes, not right now, but relying on a 5-hour energy drink every once in a while.
Yeah, same, dude.
But intrinsically, I think that there's just a lot of raw source energy that came along with my consciousness.
I expect this Fight Club thing.
Exactly. It was just raw material from my cells,
Yeah.
I love Elon Musk, his politics and whatever aside, his mind in terms of pushing the human race forward in tech and all that stuff. He has a lot of energy and he loves what he does. So I love what I do. I love my family. And the way to find that extra time is to go from 6 hours of a minimum sleep to 5 hours.
Yeah.
So 5 hours a night, and then you can pretty much get it all done.
That's an extra 7 hours a week, know?
Yep.
And then, people, you're advising people to do that 1 hour on Sunday. Imagine if you could add 6 more.
That's right.
I love
it's
that.
work.
Yeah.
But you're not going to put your screenplay into a contest and somebody's going to call you and go, hey, guess what? That was so good. I want to give you $1 million and I want you to run this whole $200 million movie just like you want. Not going to happen.
No, definitely not. I'm going to switch it up real quick. I'm going to take it into our little rapid fire section.
Yeah.
Do you have we kind of hit your favorite movies, so I'll skip that. Do you have a favorite TV show?
Yes, I definitely do. It's called The Last Kingdom.
Nice, yeah. I think we were talking about that too.
Yeah, Alexander Draymond. It's
Yeah.
based on the Saxon Chronicles, written by Bernard Cornwell. Yeah.
Nice. I'm sure you read a lot. Do you have a favorite book or a screenplay writer or something?
Well, what's really interesting is the availability of all the different medium now. Some people love podcasts and get all their information from there. Some people just watch TV and news and get all there. Some people are still avid readers. Some people read online articles and stuff like that. I'm mainly a listener to news and NPR.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, you're an NPR guy. Cool.
And I watch at least 1 to 2 hours of television and movies every single day. But I have read an immense amount.
Yeah.
I don't take the time to do it these days because I can get the information a lot quicker in a way that I like a little bit better.
Yeah.
Visual and auditory. But Chuck Palahniuk is my favorite author. He's the same guy that wrote Fight Club.
Got it. All right, cool. Yeah.
But he has got a series of books that are absolutely a ride and a treat to read.
Do you have a favorite cocktail?
Yes, a Moscow Mule.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, the Copper Cup.
That's right.
What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Taurus.
Cool.
Forever I thought I was a Gemini, May 21st, 1983. But my wife did a reading, a whole horoscope, the whole
stuff.
thing, like the rising moon meets the day. Just got lost. But I guess I'm a Taurus, not a Gemini.
Cool. Hey, this is important information. Someone from history you'd love to have dinner with.
Man, it's, again, so cliche, but Albert Einstein,
Nice.
it's just the greatest mind so far.
Cool.
Elon's probably catching up to him, but
Yeah.
in terms of mathematics, like being able to pull something out of thin air like that has applications that brought the entire industrial world, computers, everything we see today is based on these numbers that this guy figured out. It's just insane.
We're going to close out here. If you want to give the audience like what's going on next and how can people connect with you?
Yeah, great. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate, Vinny, you taking me onto the show today and having an interest in what we're doing. We spent the last 3 years really perfecting what we're doing. And we've built an amazing model. We've got such amazing filmmakers and entrepreneurs and all sorts of people on our platform ready to make this thing take off. And that's what I'm sort of doing right now, is letting people know that if you're a storyteller, if you have a story of any kind, whether you want to turn a novel into a screenplay, you have just a basic idea, we've got a proven path for you to be able to get that from your head onto the page and then structured in such a way that the industry will look at it with true consideration because it has all of these assets. So if you want to learn more, there is an application process, but just go to getitmade.la. Not .com. The .la is the .com essentially. Getitmade.la.
We'll be sharing all these links for you.
Perfect. Yeah.
But if people want to reach out, you know how to now. And I appreciate you coming out here, man. It was awesome.
Man, thank you so much.
Of course.
I really appreciate having me here. Thank you.
Yeah, this is sweet.